People who take out their phones to record strangers who are having bad days. Why? There was this really bad accident one town over where this dude from out of town ran past a stop sign and slammed into a van full of 3 or 4 children, the mother and the father. Some weren't wearing seatbelts. The father and son in the van survived with some injuries. The mother had a brain injury. 3 children died, 1 was unborn. The father recorded video after video about the event that happened. He documented every painful thing that happened to help him cope with what happened. He shared it all to Facebook to reach out to the community for help. This is all fine, but this man's wife had just lost 2 babies, and her unborn baby. She was in a coma, unlikely to wake up. In a turn of events, the wife woke up and began to rally. This is where I became grossed out. Shortly after she woke from her coma, the husband pulls out his phone and records himself telling his wife that they lost 3 of their children. He puts the phone in her face rather than console her. Then, he posted it online for the hundreds and hundreds of people following the event on Facebook. This woman just got out of a coma, and just received the worst news of her life, and this man put it online for the world to see. Absolutely disgusting. The wife died later on too. Terrible situation. I can't claim to know what I would do if it were me, but it was awful to see. I can't help but think about his surviving kid. Does he know what his dad is doing? Is he going to grow up only to find this awful footage? Are people going to constantly bring this up later in his life? One time I actually went verbally abusive towards my neighbor for this. My fiancé is an epileptic. His seizures can be life-threatening as they sometimes stop his heart. One evening last year he had one of those and I had to perform CPR. I obviously simultaneously called an ambulance, and they came shortly after, leaving the lights on because they had to park in the middle of the street. Now after a seizure, my fiancé is very disoriented. He doesn't know where he is, who anyone else is. It sometimes differs, but it's always bad. On this particular day, he remembered me and took to me for help in his confusion. He couldn't feel his legs, he didn't know what was happening, he didn't realize he only had his underpants on. We had gone to sleep about an hour before and it was a very hot day. He was bleeding from his mouth because he had bitten a tiny bit of his tongue off and his chest was red from me hitting it during CPR. He looked awful. When the paramedics and I helped him outside to bring him to the ambulance, he wasn't able to put any clothes on due to his disorientation and would shrug any blanket off because it was too hot. The neighbor, alerted by the siren and lights of the ambulance, was standing outside his house, beer in hand, filming us. I helped put my fiancé into the ambulance and went to grab a bag of stuff for the hospital. My fiancé cried out for me like a lost child since I was the only person he recognized. It was heartbreaking. And my butthole of a neighbor filmed it all while laughing his drunken butt off. I went over, yelled at him in very explicit language and demanded he delete the video. He just laughed at me. Well, joke was on him. I called the cops and they took the phone. He got to pay a fine for filming a person without permission, illegal in Germany, and has now orders staying away from us. I still wonder what he thought while doing this. Or if he thought STH at all. Just to add on to this, as I'm German myself. The reason why they could prosecute this guy is cause he filmed someone on private property. There is of course a difference if you film someone in a public place. But generally speaking you can't go filming anyone on private property. Assuming that everything on Reddit happens in the US, I was wondering what you expected calling the cops would do, and very surprised to hear about them taking the phone. Then you drop the Germany hammer. Filming a person without permission is one thing. If I recall correctly, you can take pictures/film under normal circumstances, you just can't publish it, but since 2015, it's a crime to create photos/recordings showing someone in a vulnerable situation like this. Especially the ones that use filming you as a threat. I was just doing my job one day when this customer got extremely upset because she wasn't getting her own way and got her phone out and stuck it in my face and started filming. I really wanted to grab it out of her hand and launch it as far as I could, but luckily I didn't take the bait and kept my job. I had a similar experience at my old job. Guy came in asking for a product and explicitly told me he intended to use it for felonious reasons and by company policy, I had to tell him that I could not sell him the item, and that's when he started yelling at me, trying to get me agitated, whipping out his phone and yelling, "You're going on live." Crap sucks, and you got to go through that just cause you're trying not to lose a job that doesn't pay enough in the first place. Why the hell would you tell someone you are buying something to use illegally? That's just plain stupid. In a lot of smoke shops, head shops, to buy pipes and such, if you so much as hint to buying something for weed, you'll get asked to leave for the day. Just policy. People slip up and it's usually no hard feelings, unless they're in butthole. Most just kind of, "Crap, I'm dumb. That was my bad, have a good day though." As they embarrassingly walk out with mild shame. Not that I ever did that. Me and my friend were wearing our bathing suits at a water park, and one of the staff members was taking video of us. So, I went up to him and freaked out, demanding he show me. He deleted it. We were like 14 at the time, and he was probably like 50. Now that I'm older and wiser, I should have reported him to the water park. Forget the water park, you should have reported him to the police. There's only one thing a man that age is going to do with a video of a girl that age, and we all know what it is. No, I absolutely should have. We were in a different country though, and I was young and stupid. I didn't know what to do. I lived in a place where there was this small dam, with a road running along it. One winter an elderly couple slid off the road into the water. It wasn't deep, but deep enough to drown if you are sitting down in a car. The first guy who pulls over leaps out and into the water and start trying to force his way into the car to pull them out. In a few moments later, other people pull over. Everyone pulls out their phones. Not to call the emergency services, no. They start filming. The guy in the water screams at the other to help, to call the emergency services, to get in the water and get the people in the car out. Eventually the emergency services get there. One of the two in the car is dead, the other in a coma from hypothermia and an oxygen deprivation. They awake some days later to learn their spouse drowned. I don't actually have an answer to your question, but this was what it made me think of, and I just can't figure out why the F people would be like this, and how the hell they live with themselves. Edit. So a few people have made some nice comments like, "So you watched it and am I telling us now?" No. I read about it shortly after. There was a short interview with the guy who had jumped in the water. He was devastated. I lived a few kilometers away, and the first I knew of any accident was emergency vehicles going by at full speed with sirens on. One time we were driving through a neighborhood to get to my brother's, and this car was sitting in the center of the street. We stopped for a bit, and they didn't move, so we slowly went around them. Nothing aggressive, we gave them time to go, but they just sat there. Two cars behind us did the same. Well, that must have pissed them off because they followed us and shooed out my husband, and their reasoning didn't really make sense. I noticed his girl was filming. She probably thought my husband, a big white dude, was going to be aggressive to them. Instead, he just told them they were in the middle of the road and to have a nice day. The guy kept going, but we kept telling them to have a nice day and waited for them to leave. My husband was pissed, but I told him he reacted the right way because they wanted to catch something on film and didn't. Imagine being so crafty that you try to bait strangers into a lawsuit. Have you seen those Russian scam videos where people will literally throw themselves at cars and their friend will come out of nowhere and claim witness? People are really only thinking about themselves. Jean Ralphio has entered the chat. When I did first aid at my last job, the butthole who pulled out their phone to start filming was the person who was designated to call 911 and go wait for the ambulance. I would usually take the phone from them and dial 911 on speaker and hand it back to them, so I could talk, then go, "Okay, now go wait for the ambulance and bring the paramedics here." They were usually so unbalanced that I grabbed their phone they didn't have a chance to object. So, now I have someone taking care of the paramedics and the butthole filming is gone. Don't be that guy, nobody respects you. Genius level move right here. New Year's Eve, the year 2000. I was working security for this event. Fireworks show was over at the local park, everyone was leaving, and I heard a terrible scream behind me. A teenage girl had fallen out of the tree she'd been in to watch the fireworks, onto the park bench below, and busted out her front teeth. She was squealing and howling, and I got her to open her mouth, so I could assess the damage. It was not good. Teeth were broken off just below the gum line. Her jaw didn't seem to be broken though, so there was that, and there wasn't a lot of bleeding. I held her hand and told her that it was going to be alright, that the damage was fixable, that I'd had my own front teeth busted out, and they'd fixed it just fine, gave her my winning smile. You really can't see the damage. I'd just gotten her down from screaming to crying when her mother showed up. I stood up to get out of the way, and found there was this effer, looked like a college student, accompanied by some girl of the same age, standing there not 10 feet away with a video camera and a smile, filming this with great intensity, like it was the most exciting crap he'd ever seen. I stood up to face him. WTF is wrong with you? The camera turned to me now, his smile got even bigger. Oh boy, this video was just going to get better and better. This girl is having the worst moment of her life, and you're what? Going to film it so you can enjoy it in the privacy of your own home? At this point I saw the change on the face of the girl he was with as it dawned on her that she was with a creep. She gave him this look of cautious disgust/concern and said, "Jake. Stop. We need to go." He kept filming. He was just totally transfixed by it all. She looked at him for about 4 long seconds. "I'm leaving. Now," she announced, and walked away. He decided to reluctantly follow her, but walking backward, filming me standing there looking at him until they disappeared into the crowd. I've sometimes wondered, when he viewed that footage later, if it was really as awesome as he imagined it would be at the time. I think probably not. Did he look like? Web link. A woman posted a few weeks ago somewhere that she was trying to return something to a baby supply store, and they kept just offering her store credit. She tried explaining she had a miscarriage and couldn't use it, and they kept insisting she get store credit, which just added so much injury to insult. She got to the point where she was just sobbing and begging for a refund because she didn't have any money for a hotel in the city she was staying to get the procedure to remove the fetus, and she was desperate. Some butthole, of course, whipped out his phone and started recording her without any idea why she was upset, and calling her Karen. She, understandably, went off on him. I can't even imagine how heartbroken and distressed she was, and someone took advantage of it for social media attention. These days, it's just assumed that someone who is upset is being a terrible person for whatever reason. That's not always the case. Honestly, just leave people alone, especially if you know nothing about the situation. I did it once when I saw a lady slapping the crap out of her boyfriend in public. I was only taking photos while having a stroll when it happened, and I thought that the cops would be right along. She eventually stormed off. He noticed me and started screaming at me to delete the video. I explained that it was evidence that he didn't start or participate in the fight, and he calmed down. Cops never came, we went our separate ways, and I deleted the video. I would have done it for anyone, no matter who. I don't even think about uploading it for people to snicker at public freakouts. I witnessed an assault once in broad daylight and managed to record the perp's face at the end. Gave it to the cops after the ambulance arrived. It was just my gut instinct, there's no way they're getting away with that. The victim needed reconstructive surgery. I would also love to know. I'm a dwarf and I get random strangers filming me and taking photos all the effing time. Whether I'm having a bad day or not, they are guaranteed to turn it into a bad day. Edit. Since this is getting a lot of attention, thought I'd share an interview with Eugene Grant, a columnist for The Independent who, like me, has achondroplasia and lives in the UK. It also shows some footage he took of buttholes who pull this crap. Web link. I'm freakishly tall and get it from the other side. 6'10". Lots of do you play basketball? No bitch, I'm just black and tall. I play Dungeons and Dragons and listen to metal. F off. My favorite response to this is no. Do you play mini golf? I had a migraine at Disney Springs and was trying not to cry in pain, and some dude tried to sneakily film me. I glared at him before covering my face and turning away, so I would also like to know. Fake internet points. Because likes and views fill the void in insecure people. Very conflicted right now to upvote this to the top. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.